I'm going to talk in this video about facing community criticism within the context of accompanying the monastic office in monasteries. I speak very much from experience as a monk of nearly 2.5 years in a Cistercian monastery. It can be that the pulls, the pushes, the strain of monastic life can get to you, and it gets very much to you when you are a creative mind. True musicians, in fact all artists who practice with integrity, can't hide their true characters behind their craft. Performance opens them out as they are, before all those who are listening. Now this can be an empowering and a humbling experience. Indeed, sometimes it's a perilous existence. It makes musicians vulnerable, not least in a monastic setting where the musical tastes, the sensitivities and aptitudes vary greatly. Liturgical musicians are rather like missionaries who never quite know what reception they will get. And like missionaries, their business is proclaiming from the heart, as opposed to giving the crowds what they expect to hear. Now, an organist will find it impossible to please the whole community. Some might not like your interpretation. Some may think nothing of publicly denouncing the organist's musical, scriptural proclamation. But this is simply, and I'm sorry to say, part and parcel of proclaiming God who lives deep within us. Indeed, it is well to remember that the word being proclaimed was himself nailed to a tree by those who thought they knew better. But the proclamation goes on, and it must always come from the heart, born from the integrity of one's faith and God-given musicianship. Even from the cross, Jesus cried out from the book of Psalms, his anguished, "Why have you forsaken me?" Psalm 21. It's from a psalm that also speaks of an urgent closeness to God, who is worthy of praise, is worthy of reverence. What might seem like Jesus' sense of utter abandonment is in fact a true living out of Scripture and a clinging to his ministry in times of conflict. In the midst of anguish, he clung to his Father, as he always clung to his Father. Now, for the monastic musician, this provides a Jesus-centred inspiration during those times when one's vocation is tested within the crucible of community life. It's the transformation of what can be a very real pain into opportunity for communion and a more frequent turning to him. Again, from the Psalms, from the great Psalm 118, "Before I was afflicted, I strayed, but now I keep your word." As an organist, you have to strike a very hearty balance, a very delicate balance, between practicing your own integrity, wearing your heart on your sleeve, performing openly, outwardly, and listening to others. It's in that sense that it can be a very perilous life. I remember an old monk coming to me once and saying, put his hand on my shoulder and said, "You know, it's always the musicians who leave first." And I think that's because they are natural listeners. They listen, they take on board, they look into themselves, they internalise everything. That's what we're looking not to obliterate through the experience of community criticism. Turn it around and think of what I always use as my own inspiration, that God doesn't want us to be unhappy But as far as our understanding of the word happy goes, neither does he necessarily want us to be happy. He wants only one thing, and that is communion with him. And we don't understand that.